Happy New Year! Feliz Navidad, Auld Lang Syne, and all of the things, all of the holiday things. What is it? Happy Christmas Kwanzaa.
Yeah.
Yeah, and happy new beer to all of our friends and family and followers. It's 2024. Maybe I'll stop saying it's going to be 2025 now in everything I do.
I think you'll catch up. Well, it's only been 3 days so far. So.
I know, but I am proud. Whenever I went to go deposit your check, I didn't even hesitate, and I wrote 2024 on the deposit slip. So I was really proud of myself on that one.
Did such a good job.
I know. So before we get started, I have two funny things I need to share, and then we can begin. Well, obviously, we can talk about the other intro things we normally do. But before we do that, I just want to show you, I got my order in from Temu today. No free ads. Sorry, Temu. But one of the things I ordered was for you, and it's a little sign.
Oh, God.
And it's Temu, so, it's like hilarity, like cheap things, but it's okay. But I saw this, and I was like, this is so Jacqueline. So this is what it says. Just so you know, there's like a lot of cats in here.
I love it. See, here's the proof right here.
There's one. Scotty's so pissed. Anyway, no, it comes a little like rope and it hangs. I was like, oh my God, that's like perfect.
I love that. Thank you. I can't wait.
It was like $2. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And then the last thing is something I'm so excited to put in my office, and I'm sure my students and my coworkers are going to equally love it.
Mullets count. Oh my gosh.
World's greatest mullets calendar. I mean, is that me or is that me? From Temu.
Really?
Yeah.
God. Oh
I know. I couldn't help it. I have a fascination with mullets, and I just couldn't. I could not get it I just could not. So anyway, those are my two funny purchases. I have a few other things I got from Temu, but nothing as funny or, sassy like that. So anyway, but yeah, so we've had a good Christmas. We had a good New Year. Well, I mean, Jacqueline was, as you can see from her little headline there, stuffy and cold. She couldn't really participate in New Year's.
My nose is still red.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
I know. But yeah, I mean, every year we do a brewery staff and friends party. And so yet again, we did that. And that was my New Year's. And I probably didn't get home until 4:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah. It wasn't because I was partying that whole time. It was partying most of the time. And then for the last 30 to 45 minutes, we were cleaning up the brewery because it was an absolute disaster.
That cleanup time because y'all are the cleanup.
Yeah. So anyway, it was a good time. We missed you, obviously. Everybody kept asking where you were, and I was like, well, she don't feel great, so she'd be missed. You'd been miserable.
Yeah, it would not have been fun. I was asleep on the couch at 8:30. So.
Oh, sweetheart, I'm sorry.
I know. I slept through most of the fireworks and everything, and the second half of my headline up there. So for the last couple of days, I've thought, seems a little cold in here, but I thought it was just because I was sick and I was barely making it. I wasn't really paying attention to much. And then yesterday morning I get up and I'm like, no, it's cold. go look at the thermostat. It's 60 degrees because my heat is not working. So that makes being fun and stuffy makes being sick and stuffy even more fun because now I'm extra stuffy. After probably breathing with my mouth open all night and it's like 60 degrees in here.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, I hope they get it fixed soon because that's not fun.
Fingers crossed. I got my little like space heater going right now, but yeah, I'm gonna go stay with my mom tonight because I'm paranoid to leave a space heater on all night. Like
That's fair.
it makes me just, this house is old. I'm not gonna test the wiring.
No, that's fair. I mean, I don't blame you. Plus, you'll have a nice little, I don't know, little sleepover girls' night with mom, so that's fine. Yeah. Okay, so let's get to talking about the game. Man, it was the last game of 2023. And dang, we left 2023 with a bang, did we not?
We sure did. I was gonna say we had a lot of guests in our crew there for this game.
A lot.
In Jackson's absence, I guess we had to have everyone else join us to make up for that. So I had a friend of mine come, Heather. It was her first SFA basketball game. In fact, really, I think her first basketball game, period, like in life. So that was fun for her. She's an SFA alum, so that was fun.
Which I kind of figured because I heard you every few minutes, like kind of explaining when things were happening on the court. So I was like, well, either this is her first game ever, or she hasn't been to a game in like X amount of years, and so she's rusty on the rules. But yeah, I was very glad that she came down. It was nice to meet her. I'm glad that you have a little girl squad in Tyler that you can hang around with and that you feel comfortable with, and that makes me happy. So
yeah, I think she's actually going to join us again Saturday. So
oh really? That'd be great. Okay, good. And as long as she keeps coming and cheering and wearing purple, she's welcome anytime.
Yes,
that's the rules, as Joey Budgets knows.
Yes, and he did uphold it this time, sort of.
Which is fine. From all the years that Joey would join us, which was not often, but when he did, he would always never wear purple, ever. And I'm like, Joey, you're an SFA student, like you're an SFA alum. Like, how do you not have at least like
professor?
Yeah, all of the things. Like, how do you not have like one purple shirt? Not even like a purple haze shirt that like every freshman gets. It's like, figure it out. You can't sit with us unless you're wearing an SFA t-shirt or purple white, like in the color scheme. Like, fuck, it could have been a pink shirt for all I cared, as long as it said SFA on it. He finally got the picture and he understood because he didn't want me to yell at him anymore. So anytime he comes in, he's like, don't worry, I have purple. I'm like, thank God.
Finally understands the assignment.
Yeah.
So yeah, we met up with our friend Matt Postins before the game. Two of his friends came. Like Alex said, Joey Buckets was at the game. Shelfo was at the game with us. I mean,
we had a nice little crowd. We had a nice little crowd in our normal seating area. And of course, Amanda joined us as normal. The only person we were missing was our boy Jackson. But we will let him slide. Even though UNO is his alma mater, he missed it because he was going to go celebrate the new year in Louisiana with his friends and family, which is fair, and go fishing, which is also fair. Fine. But we did miss him.
We did miss him. Would have been a tough one though, so.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we had a good time. Obviously, enjoyed the game. I'll talk a little about our post game, or I guess we did it during the game, but then like we handed them out during post game. So I guess we can either talk about it now or later.
Now's fine.
Okay, cool. So first of all, I have to give a big shout out to Susu's Popcorn because I went in there with the full intention on purchasing and buying 16 mini bags of popcorn myself. And when I explained why I was getting 16 mini bags of popcorn, to Susu, telling her that, oh, we were getting these for the boys for like a little like end of the year pump up snack. She said, oh my God, I love that. I can't believe I didn't think about it, because Nana works at Susu's.
Did not know that.
Yeah, like not full time, obviously, but like
Yeah.
he's there and he works there when he can. And so she goes, oh my God, I can't believe I did not think of that. What a beautiful and great idea. And so she goes back to fill them all up, comes up, and she goes, here, tell him it's from me too. And I didn't charge me a damn cent. And I was like, Susu, no, you're a small business. Like, I got to pay for something. So I went and grabbed like 4 bags of popcorn and some candy and threw it on there. I'm like, I'm buying this and you can't tell me I can't. So big shout out to Susu's Popcorn. If you haven't been, the store is amazing. The popcorn is even better. Go and support locally owned and operated by Susu, by Susan and Alan Sowards and that family. And it's just a great little downtown staple, and so glad to have them. But yeah, big ups to them. But we made little sign. We made Jacqueline made little cards that said,
let's get it poppin' in 2024, which we have to give the credit to Alex. She came up with that clever little line.
I have clever lines every once in a while. But anyway, so because we were just thinking, I was like, I would love to give them something, because I just feel like a real close kinship. Like, obviously we've been close to a bunch of the other teams in the past, but like, I don't know, just the majority of the boys on this team, like, we know so well, I feel like. And so we just wanted to do something special for them and like give them a little bit of a, treat to show them, like, they should know already, but like that we are behind them and that we're excited for 2024 and for conference play. So Jacqueline made little cards. We wrote on them, if you saw us during the game, which we got a couple texts about, like, what y'all doing over there? Are you knitting? Are you yarning? Like, what are y'all doing? I was like, we're crafting over here. So like for the first like 5 to 10 minutes of the first half, we were over there writing notes on the note cards and attaching, the cards to the bags with ribbon. And so, but yeah. And so after the game, we told them to come over and grab a popcorn bag, and almost all of them came over except for maybe like, I don't know, 4 or 5.
Yeah,
So
most of them did.
Most of them did. And so very, very thankful for Trell for taking the rest of the bags back there for us into the locker room to disperse, which I hope he did. He didn't take all the popcorn for himself.
And if not, they missed out.
Hey, when I say come and see us after the game, and I tweet it to you, like clearly tweet it to you before the game, I'm not kidding. So, I mean, Jesus Pete. Anyway, so.
And like you said, we had the little cards. We wrote them each a little, personalized note, affirmation.
I don't even know what I wrote on half of them. Honestly, I was like blacking out. I don't even know what I wrote. I'm sure I repeated the same thing like 3, 5, 7, 25 times.
Well, what's funny is when you just said about us writing them out during the game, whenever I was rewatching the game today, I forgot about that. And I noticed that multiple times it looked like I was looking down and I was thinking to myself, what are you doing? Aren't you watching the game? What's happening? I was like, I know I wasn't texting. So now that makes sense. But my brain's not clicking on all cylinders right now. So
okay, that truffle was not good. I'm sorry. Chocolate orange. It sounded good, but damn, it's not good.
That does not sound good. Tell them you want your $3 back, since that's how many they were each.
Fucking hey, dude. $32 fucking truffles.
Oh, I mixed it up. I thought you said 36. Anywho, whatever. It's still like $3.
It doesn't matter. It's ridiculous. But that one was not good. So 2 of those can go bye-bye. The rest have been great. Anyway, so I know I noticed that too when I was rewatching it today, that we kept looking down, and I'm like, I mean, I knew what I was doing, but it was just funny. But yeah, so I'd like to do that again, maybe before conference, some other kind of like quippy thing, like, and maybe like a candy bar or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out, but because the boys seem to really like it. And now that we know we can do that and not get in trouble with like, NIL and all those other things, then.
Yeah, I think if it's something small or something food, I don't really think.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm glad that I asked, and I asked for permission, and so now there's no like, oh, you can't do
We
that. Yeah.
dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so let's get into the game itself. Man, UNO, we go real far back with UNO. This was a testy game. Like, there was a lot of jabbering, but yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay, so our background history with UNO, as y'all remember, we were in the Southland with them, so we played them a couple times. In our history, going into this game, we had 9 wins and 2 losses. Our last matchup was February 13th of 2022. I was about to say last year, but now 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
And we won 89-79. Our largest margin of victory was 103-63 in 2014, and our smallest was 81-74 in 2020.
Dang, I didn't realize that 2022 game was a lot closer. Wow.
Yeah,
And then in 2020, was a really small version. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing: UNO and us, we used to be pretty big rivals way back in the day, But yeah, now that we're not in the Southland, we don't see them every single year, and so it's interesting whenever we do see them and play them, because I feel like every time we have played them, it's always been chippy, and I don't get it. Like, it's, I mean, again, we're not in the same conference anymore. We don't see them every single year, so it's just kind of funny to me how it's so chippy. It was so chippy, but anyway,
we'll get to that.
Yeah. So moving on to the WAC standings. So a little bit of differences in the regular standings. So of course, I mean, let's just shout it out to whoever finally beat Grand Canyon, because now they're no longer like undefeated. They're 12-0. Okay. I guess for some reason I never noticed that they had already lost one, but the only game that they have lost is versus South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like in November. But I could have sworn that they've been like 11, like they hadn't lost a game, but I guess I read that wrong. That's on me. But yeah, so they are still they're still really good, and they're still running the WAC at the moment at 12-1. And then everybody else, we got Tarleton State at the number 2 spot, 9-4, Utah Tech at 6-7 at the 3 spot, CBU at 8-5, and SFA us at 8-5, and Seattle U at 8-5. So there's like a 4-way tie for 4th place at the moment. So we're moving up on the standings. We're getting better in the standings, which is great. But as we know, the standings itself really don't matter. What matters is the freaking seating system. So I'm happy to report that we have moved up in the seating system update. This last update was yesterday, the 2nd. So Grand Canyon still has a monstrous lead. I don't know, like I said before in the past podcast, if anyone's going to catch them. They'd have to have an absolute disastrous conference play where they just lose everything in order to not get the first rankings seed. I would be shocked. But everybody else, you got Tarleton State in the 2nd seed, Seattle U in the 3rd seed, and then SFA has moved up to the number 4 seed. We were at number 7. We jumped 3 spots.
Yay.
Which is awesome. So yeah, playing better, doing better. Love it. Love to see it. So anyway, yeah, that is the update on the standings.
All right. Ready for general game notes. So we started this game with Trell, Day, Jelani, Matt, and AJ. We did win 80-51. Attendance was 2,120. With actually, considering it was like 2 days before New Year's Eve, was not terrible.
It was actually a really good I mean, not amazing, but it was actually it was a good crowd. It was a good crowd. There was a lot of people there that don't normally get to go to a game. The $5 tickets really help, and I know it's not obviously financially smart to do that every game, but if we could do that more often, that'd be great, especially during break, to really get people out there when the students are gone.
I agree.
Yeah. But anyway, continue.
All right. So for Sean Kennedy's stat section, our field goal percentage was 47.6. Our 3-point percentage was a paltry 17.6. We only made three pointers this game.
Yeah.
That was the only stat we had that was just really bad.
Yeah.
Percentage, we were 73.9. Points in the paint, right where we like it, with 48. Points off turnovers, we had 24. Second chance points, we had 14. Fast break points, 15. Bench points were right up there as well, 42. Another great rebounding game with 48. We out-rebounded them by 15 rebounds. We had 13 offensive boards and 35 defensive boards. We did have 24 fouls and 18 turnovers, which is not where I like to see it. They had 23 turnovers. We had 13 steals and 4 blocks. Our game leaders, so our 2 high points of the game, Miles and Trell tied at 12 points. Miles had 12 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. And Trell had something in every column, 12 points, 2 assists, 1 rebound, 1 block, 1 steal. Then we had Day with a double-double. 10 points, 10 rebounds, 2 steals.
Oh, my God. What a game. I mean, it started off real slow, but, like, those 3 dudes really turned the Jets on and really, really brought it home for us.
I agree. And so I think Alex and I agree on this, and I'll give my reasons for each one. And then she can add, I'm sure she'll have more to add to it. But most of the time I can usually pick one player of the game for one reason or another. I feel like this time I really equally all 3 of them, and I'll tell you why. For Miles, this is his high point game so far with us. You know, we didn't get to see him several of the first games of the season because he was injured on concussion protocol, and he's really came out on fire, like, since he's gotten in the game. And this game,
that's his breakout game. Mark it down. From here on out, he's going to be literally ass on fire.
And this game was, I mean, yeah, it was definitely, like, we've been impressed by him every single game, but this one was really just like 5 steps up. Happy New Year, Tess.
Happy New Year, Mom. Go Jacks. And then Happy New Year to Maria, too. How are y'all doing over there in New Mexico? How's the weather?
That cold.
Probably cold. Goodness gracious.
But yeah, I have multiple feats of strength for Miles that I'll detail specifically once we get there. But and then Trell, I mean, listen,
yeah.
Here's the thing. First of all, like I said, he has something in every single category all across the board. He was really impactful in every single way in this game.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the most important thing in this game, we talked about our atrocious 3-point percentage, and he was 0 of 3. He immediately realized my 3s ain't hitting today.
Right.
I gotta do something else. And he didn't sit here and throw up 10 3s missing. He said, nope, I'm going to go make my own shot. And if I have to, create my own 2-point, I'll do that instead. And he did it multiple times.
Absolutely. Maria says cold and windy. I'm not shocked at all. Actually, it's kind of cold and windy and rainy and gross here too. So we feel that. But yeah, no, I co-sign everything Jacqueline just said. So normally when I'm watching the game, I like to write down my keys to the win. And literally those 3 guys were written on my keys to the game even before I saw the stat line. Because Day, Miles, and Trell, yeah, they were high point. But you can just tell when they're clicking, and when Day Day is clicking and on all cylinders, like there's no stopping that boy. I think he's back, baby, and I'm so freaking excited for him. Miles, like I just said a minute ago, standout game. This is his come out. This is his coming out party, basically. And so, like from here on out, I have many things about Miles. And then Trell, I mean, what do you say about Trell? I mean, that we haven't already said. I mean, that boy is so instrumental to our team. And you're right. If he's not hitting the three, he's not going to sit there and just continually start just chunking up threes. He's going to perform in other areas. Defense, he's going to be press you all day, every day. He's going to create steals. He's going to do whatever he needs to do. And I love him for it, man. He's such a critical part of the team, whether he's on the court or off. So, yeah, I totally agree. All three of them should be player of the game in my eyes.
Yeah, and
Day with the double-double, though. Shout out to that. I mean, like, that was his first double-double of the season, and to see that from Day, honestly, it almost makes me emotional. I want to start crying. I don't know why I'm such a titty baby all of a sudden the past few weeks, but just knowing what we know of Day and how much he's like struggled up till now, obviously he hasn't had the first half of the season start like everybody expected him to have. And like that, again, that's so much pressure for a kid. And so just seeing him finally break through and have a couple good games in a row, I really feel like now he has that confidence back again to where he's going to just let it frickin' rip.
No, I agree completely, and that's why I had to include him on this one, because we both said it the last game. He finally looked like his old self, and we felt like he needed the confidence boost, so we were glad that he got it, because we all know, like anybody who's ever watched him play once knows what he can do. But there's a difference in, getting in your own head about it. But we also did mention, fair to note that it was against Paul Quinn.
Yeah.
So we hoped that he still took that internal win and used it to build his own confidence back up and carry that into a more competitive game. So seeing him do that in this game.
Yeah, versus a D1, it was really the test, and then of course the game tomorrow down in UTRGV will also be a really, really good test to see if, I don't think it was a fluke. I don't think it was a one-time thing. I think that he's back, baby, and he knows it. We know it. And everybody knows it. So couldn't be more pleased for him and the team. So, so going right into the strengths, right? Because, obviously, Day being back is a huge strength. What else we got? That first half wasn't great.
Okay, the first half was so bad, but I'll save that for my grievances. I will say, my first feat of strength was Clayton made the first actual field goal of the game with some great inside moves, but it was at 13 minutes. We went 7 minutes without making a shot on the floor.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Obviously we'll talk about that in the grievances, but like that can't happen. And the fact that it took that long is just it is a little scary. But I have to hand it to UNO. They came out swinging. So it wasn't just like we were just sitting on our ass. But UNO came out swinging and they were ready for us in that first half. So, hey, we finally got it together. We finally settled down. It just took us a little bit longer than what we'd all like to see, but we finally figured it out. Jelani had a great block in the very beginning of the game. Chemo had a great steal and passed it off to Day. Day missed the bucket, but he got fouled and then, got his free throws there. So we had some good moments in that first half, but man, that second half is where things just really opened up for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chemo had some really nice moves this game, since you just mentioned
great moves, Chemo.
So he had what I put in quotations a nice behind the back layup, because I wouldn't even call it a reverse layup, because he was literally like facing away from the bucket and somehow still got it up there. He had a really good behind the back to CC.
Yep, I wrote that down as well. That pass from Keno to CC on the steal too. It was a steal. That was beautiful. I love to see that. I love to see a great turnover, a great steal, and then actually capitalizing on it. It's one thing to get the turnover, but it's another thing to actually capitalize on it and get the bucket. You have to get those points off turnovers. Those are so crucial. I mean, like, what's the point? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Creating a lot of turnovers early in the second half too also really helped kind of get UNO off their off their beat, off their rhythm. Just playing press U in general in that whole game, more so towards the end of the first half, and then a lot in the second half was really, really critical. That was another one of my keys to the game was press U. Really came in full force. I mean, UNO had 23 turnovers to our 18. So love to see that. And of course, our points off turnovers were pretty substantial. I mean, 24 points, that's pretty much almost the difference in the game.
Yeah, and I think we got most of those the second half when we finally woke up and decided to play the way that we can.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, there's so many things that you could attribute that to. It's the first game after the Christmas little break that they had, maybe a little sluggish, maybe ate a little too much ham or turkey or whatever it is that they ate at the dinner table. But yeah, we figured it out. We got back in the rhythm and battled back the end of that first half and then went up into the half, which was critical. It's so critical. Here's my thing. We can start off slow all we want, but if we do not battle back and at least either make it a game towards halftime or at least go ahead going into half, coming out of the half and trying to play catch up is such a pain and it's so difficult.
Very stressful too.
Oh, yeah. So going up at the half was super important. Yeah, I know. Frank the Tank, man.
Frank was looking so good. I mean, he always does, but my gosh. Okay. I'm pretty sure he was the first one to make a three. No. I take that back. Sorry. Miles was the first one to make a three.
Miles hit the one and finally broke us of the 3 drought.
But the next possession down.
It was back-to-back threes.
And then he had a fadeaway that was chef's kiss.
Right at the buzzer, too.
Yeah. Right at the clock. He's just, we've said it a million times, but he's always just all over the court, zipping around. Offense, defense. Wow. He's always aware and quick enough to get there. Like he's looking a couple of passes ahead, no matter what end of the court he's on.
Yeah. And one of the threes, I remember after he came out of the game, it was one of the ones that he had missed because he only got one of them, but he shot 3. And I think when he came and sat down after one of them, he was like, man, that slipped out of my hands or something like that. Like it just didn't.
Because it was the one that hit the top of the backboard.
Yeah. He goes, it just slipped right out of my hands. Like it just wasn't a good release. He goes, I grabbed it, felt great. And then I could just hear him saying that on the bench. And I was like, that has to be so frustrating. You know, like you have a good look and you're in the position and you're ready for it and it's coming for, and then just the release botches it. That has to be so frustrating.
Yeah.
Shoo. I think CeCe had a really nice, beautiful under the legs layup as well. Or pass behind the back layup. It was so fast because he's so fast. I'd have to like rewind and then like play and then pause to see what the heck that boy's doing with that basketball. Because he's just all over the place, which is great. But it was a beautiful layup. Let's just say that.
Yeah, he was doing a lot, offense and defense in this game. I didn't know anything specifically on him, but I know there were a lot of good things. Jelani also had some great moves down at the post, going to work with that and one.
He is a great how do I say this? A great boxer outer. I guess that makes sense, but I don't know. Every time he's down there in the post, Whether I don't, it doesn't matter, playing offense, deep, whatever it is, he's boxing out like a son of a gun down there. I mean, which he should be. He's a big dude. He can throw your body around down there and box him out.
I was about to say, it makes me very happy as someone who didn't have a lot of like strength, height, or any of the above to block out, to see someone who has it use it correctly. Makes me very happy.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, loving the 3 from Frank the Tank, loving the 2 threes from Miles.
Yeah, let's talk about Miles, and we can cover our other 2 players of the game. Miles was all over the court, saving the ball, getting rebounds, scoring. He had that I don't know. Well, I mean, maybe you could call it a dunk. I don't know that it was like he didn't like fully slam it.
Yeah.
It was flying of dunk layup. But I mean, he was like several feet away from the bucket when he jumped. Like it was a soaring.
Soaring that's the perfect word for it. He's
soaring like dunk layup.
It was so good. It was so good. Again, it was another one of those moments that it was just so fast, like how CC plays. Mile plays so fast. So fast. And so it's like, if you're not paying attention, man, you're going to miss it. Because he's going to go from one end to the other, coast to coast, and he's going to lay the ball up, dunk the ball, and boom, it's already back on the other end of the court. Like, he's just so quick.
Yes.
He's insane. But yeah, I need more Miles. I crave more Miles on the court.
I'm very excited to see him play more and more because
he had 12 minutes this game. I think that might have been his most to date.
Sure probably was
potentially, but yeah, I mean, considering how he played that night, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a lot more minutes in this game tomorrow. Because he played outstanding. He had, like you said, you read off his stats. I mean, he had 3 rebounds. He had a couple personal fouls there. He had 3, but man, he was playing lights out defense. He got a steal in there. I mean, holy moly. Let's see here. Man, Frank had 5 rebounds. I didn't even notice that. He had 5 rebounds. Jalil had 6 rebounds. Nana had 6 rebounds. Man, everybody was rebounding. The only person that didn't get a rebound in this game was Luke, and he only played 4 minutes. Like, everybody was rebounding in this game, which I love that.
Yeah, Frank comes flying in for rebounds quite often.
Hey, man, CC. They come out of left field. You know what? Who else do they all do that at times, but like Juice will do that too. Well, like he'll be at the top of the key, and then all of a sudden you just see just a blur fly by, and it's just this tiny Juice trying to get the rebound, and it's like, where did he come from? They're just trying to rebound the ball like absolute madmen down there.
Well, to segue off of that, because I feel like we have a ton of players this season, especially who are all just very quick. But I made a note literally during this game because he did a lot of great things, but I didn't make note of specific plays. But Matt, I feel like, has to be one of the quickest and smoothest players I have ever seen. Like, he's always zipping around, popping up, sneaking in, grabbing the rebound, making a bucket, getting a steal, whatever. And you don't even notice him. He just appears and flashes in and out, and it's always so smooth. I don't know how to say it.
He's sneaky with his points too, because he only played for 13 minutes, which that seems low, but he got 7 points in that 13 minutes. I mean, he was working it. I mean, he almost had 100% on his free throws. Yeah, doing well. I love to see that.
Yeah, he's definitely a sneaky sleeper, I think is what I would like to say. Because, some of his games aren't as flashy as others if he's not making a bunch of threes. And so you might not, because that he can make threes. If he doesn't make threes in the game, you might think, oh, he didn't score that much. And then you look at his stats and you're like, he got a lot of rebounds and he did score a lot more than I thought, because it's just so quick and smooth and sneaky that you just if you're not paying attention, you might miss it. Let's see. Okay, we already talked about Day and that double. Yeah, I was so happy for him. He played great.
Big key to the game, I think, too, is we all saw how Johnson on UNO was like kicking our ass in like the first 10 to 15 minutes of that first half. I think a huge key to the game and huge ups to us. And I don't know if it was some adjustment that Kyle did in halftime or during one of the timeouts, but we started guarding him and really putting the pressure on him in defense. And we really shut him up in the second half, the first half, and in the second half. Because he really didn't score after that first, couple minutes he was in. He only scored 12 points, but majority of those 12 points were in that first half. And he really didn't score much the rest of the game at all. Barely. Which I think that's a huge thing too, is because I guess we noticed how he had the hot hand in the beginning and then just, changed up a little bit of the defensive situation or whatever they did. But man, they really put the pressure on Johnson and really, shut him up basically in the second half, which was critical.
Yeah, and it was definitely messing with his head too, because he got that tech for talking, and I'll discuss our tech when we get to the grievances. But
yeah,
my quick note on our other third player of the game, Trell. So he had a beautiful steal and a fast break, and he had multiple beautiful step back 2-pointers. But to elaborate on what we both said about him, what I love is I think since he's such a good 3-point shooter, it's like that's what you associate him with. So I think we almost forget sometimes how good he is at other stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's like when his threes aren't hitting and he has to create himself multiple shots, it's like you remember that he can do all these other things. It's just when he's hitting the threes, that's what he's going to take because points. But if they aren't falling, he really has a lot of range to do other things.
Oh, I know. I mean, seeing him, basically flat on the court, coast to coast, or on a breakaway, or an assist from Juice or assist from Chemo or whoever has the ball and just gets a quick little layup. I mean, that is so important as well. I mean, you can't diminish that. The fact that he is such an all-around good player, he can play at every area in the game. Good defense. He can do the short game. He can do the long game. He could shoot the ball from the frickin' parking lot. I mean, he can do it all. He can really do it all. And that's why I keep saying he's such a critical and instrumental part of this team. He's like the lifeblood, and even if he's having a bad game, he won't let it affect everyone else on the court. He'll make sure he does whatever he needs to do to, hype up someone else, get them the ball, assists. He'll do what he needs to do. That boy is not a selfish player, one iota.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
My last little feat of strength. So we got to see Davion and Luke come in. A few minutes left in the game. Y'all know we're always happy when our boys do. When everyone gets in the game, when all of our boys get to play, we love that. And Davion, I mean, so the last game was definitely his best game this season. But he had several good plays in this game too. He had the assist to Miles for one of his threes. He got a rebound. He had another assist to Jelani for an and one, and he made a bucket.
Yeah, he had a beautiful coast to coast layup. I think. I mean, basically got the rebound and took it all the way down.
And I will say this on him, and this is why I'm excited to get to see him play more. So he did have two turnovers.
He did.
Both of the turnovers he had, it's like you can see he's moving quick when he's bringing the ball up. And he's very confident when he's bringing the ball up. Most of his turnovers that he has are when he's looking and sees a really great pass, but just can't quite make it. So it's like he definitely has the eye to be looking for open plays that are hard to make. He's just got to get more playing time to get more confident to where he can make those passes, or he, has a little better determination on when to pass up on trying to make the good play.
Yeah, I just think he just needs a little bit more competitive practice at the point guard. I mean, that's really just, that's just really it. I mean, and maybe just, it's just like fundamental stuff and like dribbling, just like small little things that the more time you're on the court and the more practice you get, the better you get. I mean, and we're good.
But it's great court vision that I'm seeing so far. So it makes me excited to see him play more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, that was pretty much it for me. The only other thing I had on here was just more about Jelani, but we already talked about Jelani. We had talked about his great, especially there at the end there, getting those quick little layups and the and ones and the fouls down there under the paint, and just the excitedness, the ferocity, I mean, he was so pumped up. I think the more Jelani gets pumped up, the more pumped up everyone else gets. And I think it's the cutest thing when like Luke or Ethan or Davion gets in the game, the entire bench loses their mind. They go absolutely bonkers for them. They're cheering them on. They're hyping them up. They get excited when each other are, playing well, like during the game. But when those three boys go in, they lose their minds. It's the cutest thing. I love it. I love it.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, complete 180. You guys know what time it is.
Here we go.
With the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're going to hear about it. You.
Oh, God. I have a couple grievances in regards to the reffing. There were...
I really only have one about the reffing, or about one ref specifically.
Here's my thing. All right. I probably said some pretty disparaging things during the game about a specific ref, and I don't regret them. I don't regret what I said. Just because I think that female ref was horrendous, and that I did make a really disparaging, feminism joke. Oh, well. I was just like, this is why women shouldn't referee. She just wasn't great. She was not good.
Let's be very clear here. We're huge on female empowerment, especially in the sports. Obviously, we're two broads doing a podcast about basketball. This is the problem here.
God.
I hate that we finally had a female referee
for a men's game.
And she was awful.
Awful.
Because here's the thing. It's hard enough. And listen, this is just God's honest truth. And I'm not saying that all players or all coaches are this way, but there is going to be a much more difficult time for a woman official to gain the respect of her authority from male players and male coaches. Not all of them, but for some of them, you're already at a bit of a detriment, a bit of a default. So then, when you're not good, you're making it even worse, not only for yourself, but for the next female official we may have, because that's what they're going to remember. She was just terrible. She was not good.
And I hate that because, again, like Jacqueline said, I mean, we're two broads doing a podcast about men's basketball. Like, we're big supporters of female sports. Like, in general, I was an athlete in high school. Jacqueline was an athlete in high school. Like, we love sports. But damn it, when I say that she was just a horrible ref, I would have said this about any ref. I don't give a rat's ass. It just happened to be a woman. She was just not good. And then, of course, I made the joke about this is why women shouldn't ref. I know I don't mean that, but in the moment. She made a horrible call, multiple, and I said it out of anger. But God, it was bad.
Well,
I mean,
she was really
missing calls in her area. The other refs were having to make up for the calls that she was missing in her area. I mean, just blatant stuff, dude. I mean, missing moving screen calls, missing cylinder calls. Like,
I mean, it was so bad. Dad and I were talking about it when we got home. And first, Heather made a funny joke because she told my dad that was her first game, and Dad said something about how terrible she was, and Heather said maybe it was her first game too. But mom heard me saying something about how one of the other refs had to call something in her area.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mom just caught the tail end of us, the beginning of us griping about a ref, and then the tail end of us saying someone was calling a call in someone else's area, which as the wife of a referee, she's like, oh, well, that's not good. You're not supposed to do that. And I'm like, no, you don't even understand. The complaint is because she was so bad and the call, the play was so egregiously obvious that the other ref had to call in her area to make the call.
Yeah.
So, it was bad on her, not on him.
Completely missed it. Just
That's how bad it was. And here's my complaint about AJ's tech, and it was her. Because
it was her. Exactly.
And I saw it more clearly when I watched it back because I rewound it multiple times. But they were inbounding the ball, and when AJ runs up to get in position to defend his dude, the dude very, very clearly, very obviously, and very purposely hit AJ right in the face. Nothing happens. AJ keeps going. They inbound the ball. They bring it down the court. I guess AJ said something. What he said, I do not know. But I guarantee you she didn't waste not 2 seconds to tee him up. I don't know where the tee was when he got hit in the face. I'm not defending because I don't know what he said. But I am saying that he got hit in the face first and she didn't do anything. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, there were multiple. And again, it may not have always been her missing the call. But just in general, there were a lot of kind of questionable no calls. Again, when a player of ours gets hit in the face or is bleeding profusely, surely there's a foul in there somewhere, babes. Somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just stuff like that. Happy New Year, Dennis.
Hey, Dennis.
How you doing, bud?
My other specific, I only have one other specific referee complaint.
Yeah.
When they called the double foul, and here's the thing. Yes, there are situations where a double foul is the reasonable call to make. I'm not saying that. There are. In this case, old dude was pushing on Jalil multiple times before Jalil pushed back. So I'm like, if you would have called the first foul, you wouldn't have had to call a double foul on the fifth one.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just my opinion.
But I feel like sometimes, in that instance, that foul is such a cop-out. And sometimes, it drives me nuts, and this is not just this game, it's just in general. I think sometimes the jump ball call is such a cop-out too. Is it because you're not paying attention and you can't see who actually has the ball? It's let's just do a jump ball. That just drives me nuts, but that's just a normal grievance.
No, I do think that call is overused sometimes.
Overused. It's so overused, especially when it's so obvious again, and it doesn't have to be us. It's so obvious who has possession of the ball when you blow the whistle.
Sometimes I do think they call it a little too early if they're just trying to de-escalate, but it's I don't know. That's not the point of the call though. But
right, exactly.
Anywho.
But I have a grievance about reffing, and it's not even about our game.
I'm ready to hear it.
I have to get it out because, man, I almost stormed a court at a high school freaking basketball game.
Oh my God, what happened?
So at my nephew Zach, he plays high school basketball in the Woodlands, and for the Woodlands High School, he's on JV, and they had a tournament at College Park, which is like the Woodlands rival. Like it's the same, it's a high school within the same city. Anywho, doesn't matter where it's at. The refs in the first game we watched didn't call a single foul. Nothing.
The whole game?
The whole game. Riddle me that. On any side.
I've never seen that happen in my entire
I've never. There's 3-second lane violations. There's double dribbles. There's travel. There were egregious charges and blocks. Like, I was losing my mind in the freaking stands. Losing my mind. I just don't get it. Here's the thing. Even if it's on us.
Right? Call one.
This is why I think now college kids in college are having so many issues with fouling, because I just don't get it. Why as they're coming up through the systems, through high school or through club or whatever they're playing, they're just not calling the game how it should be called. How are they supposed to learn what's appropriate, what's a foul, what's not a foul, if they don't get called on it?
That must be new, because let me tell you, I got plenty of fouls in my high school.
It may have just been those referees, and it was like a tournament play game, like tournament, but still, like it's still a basketball game. So that was the second game. In the third game, they were calling fouls like normal. So I don't know what the two refs were doing in that second game, but they literally called 0 fouls. I think they called 1 foul, and it was like a block or a charge. That was it.
Yeah.
The craziest thing, you can ask my mother, you can ask my brother, I swear to God, hand over my heart, I'm not even kidding. They called nothing. I'm literally sitting on the sidelines screaming like, that's a charge. That's a travel. What are we doing? Put me on the court. Give me the whistle.
Right?
Because, yeah, obviously I want my nephew's team to win, but at the same time, I want them to learn what these fouls are so that they learn not to commit them.
Yeah, and if you're going that long without calling any fouls, it's like, I bet they don't even know how to line up for a free throw. I mean.
Thank you. But yeah, the third game, the refs were way better, and they called a lot more fouls, and it actually, I think, was a lot more helpful in terms of still learning the game. But yeah, I mean, it's high school JV basketball. What are we doing? It was just wild to me. Anyway, I know it had nothing to do with SMA basketball, and I'm so sorry, but I had to get it off my chest because, man, I was fuming. Fuming.
No, I'm glad you aired that grievance. That's what this time is for.
Big grievance.
I really only have 2 grievances on our actual play. Not that there were only 2 things we did I didn't like. This is just the general scope of it.
Yeah.
We did not start off good at all. It was way too slow. And I'm talking about defense and offense, because the very first possession, we're going to let them hit a 3 right out the gate. And then we were just looking slow. Like we weren't getting out to guard the 3 on defense. We weren't scoring on offense. We went like however many minutes, like 8 minutes almost without scoring. This is not the first game that I have said this season. There's been more than one game this season already, and we've only played how many games? 8 or something?
Mm-hmm.
Like we gotta score at least in the first 5 minutes of the first half. I don't know. Like we gotta figure that out, because we're not gonna be making it through the WAC going 7 minutes into a 40-minute game with 0 shots from the field. Like,
yeah, that's not gonna fly. That's no, it's not. When we get down to be playing teams that are absolutely kicking ass, like Grand Canyon, teams like CBU, teams like Utah Tech, any of the teams, to be fair, but the teams that are above us right now in the standings, who are playing lights out, they're going to capitalize on the fact that we're starting off slow every single game.
Yeah. Because like you said earlier, if we go in at halftime that far in the hole,
we're
not going to be able to come back, because
a lot to dig out.
Get it together and play that the way that we do. We've already put ourselves at too much of a deficit to overcome for these teams that are going to continue. They could continue on scoring at the same speed they have been the whole game, and then we're going to have even more to make up for. And then my other grievance is we literally come right out of halftime and let them score on a fast break. And I have made this complaint multiple times this season too. Either we come right out of halftime or we come right out of a timeout. And I'm like, what did we just talk about for the last 2 minutes or the last 15 minutes? And then we come right in and let them just, sorry, my sinuses are assaulting me right now, so I'm not crying. But anyway, I'm just like, what are we doing after we just come out of a like huddle situation and just.
No, I agree. That is the biggest, I think, frustration I have going into conference play starting tomorrow officially. Is that's my biggest concern is our slow starts. You know, I know that we can battle back, but the point is are we going to give ourselves enough time to battle back? And so that's the thing. Like, I don't want to have to battle back every single freaking game. Yeah, it makes it exciting and a little bit anxiety driven, and that's what makes it, you know, fun when we come back and win. But I don't want that every game. Look at me.
I don't either. And
I
it's
don't
like
want it every game. You guys are gonna make me have like premature gray hair. I'm gonna have to go start dyeing my hair more often. Like, I don't want that. I'm too young for that. You killing me, bro. That's my biggest concern going into the game tomorrow, and then obviously the rest of the season is just we have to figure out how to start with our foot on the gas and don't let it up the entire time.
totally agree. And like this is the thing, even having to use the term come back like shows that that's not how we play. If we were just losing games and we just weren't good enough, and like obviously we didn't lose this game, but I'm just saying in general, like if we were losing games and we just weren't good enough, we would be like, we got to do better. We got to do this, that, and the third to like play on that level. But when it's like we have to make a comeback in the second half to how we usually play, why can't we just play the way we play the whole time and make it easier on ourselves? It's like, it's not that we aren't good enough. We're literally like we're starting in like first gear and finishing in like fifth. So like shift up a little faster.
Right. I want them to understand this is not a marathon. Like when y'all are coming down the dang tunnel and you're getting onto the court for warm-ups, like this is a sprint, baby. Like
it's a relay. It's a team relay, and when it's your leg, you better be sprinting around the track.
You better be, again, foot on gas, all gas, no brakes. And that's like I said, I'll say that's just the biggest concern I have too, is I want us to play. This is my New Year's wish, that we play the rest of the season the way that we played against Drake.
Me too.
Is that a lot to ask?
No, because here's the thing, like that wasn't a fluke. Like that's what we can do, and we've seen chunks of it in almost every single game.
Yeah.
We just want to see it all game, every game.
Yeah, the whole game.
You don't ask for much.
It's not much. Like we've seen them do it. It's doable. It's just, yeah. Anyway, so I don't have any more grievances. Do you?
Mm-mm.
All right, so moving on. Game summary, one word to describe this entire game analysis. I'm going off the beaten path and just popcorn. I'm hoping our popcorn messages that we wrote out to the boys gave them some love and confidence and virtual hugs from us. And that they take those words and really just kind of, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, not ingest them.
Absorb.
Absorb. They ingest the popcorn, yes, but absorb the words and really take it to heart. Let's get it popping. Like, again, all gas, no brakes into, that's what we should do. Give them gas cards. All gas, no brakes. I don't have the money for that. But anyway.
I know. We can buy them 1 gallon each.
$5 a piece. That's $1 a piece. That's all you get. Oh shit. That's funny. That's all we could afford though. So I mean, but anyway, I'm sure we could figure something else out, like little gas tanks or something. I don't know. We'll figure something out. But yeah, my words, popcorn. I hope they read our little popcorn notes, boys, if you're listening. Just a little gift to give you a smile and a little hope. We both wrote some cutesy little funny things on there. And I really hope that you enjoyed our little gift, and we just get it popping into 2023. Four.
So close. At least she didn't go one forward.
Okay. I was close. All right.
So I just combined mine into one word, food coma, because I kind of just felt like everyone was dragging a little bit after Christmas. So that's what I'm going to chalk up those first, like,
I agree.
To play to.
I agree. Okay, I have some random notes and some questions before we wrap things up. We've already talked about a couple of the random notes, talked about how Day Day is back. That was my first note. The popcorn treats, so thank you again to Susu's popcorn. Other note is we both rocked our our own merch from our merch store. So if you saw our picture from the last home game, we were both wearing pieces from our store. So if you liked those, go and grab you some in the merch store on our website. Talked about our guests in the stands. And Ethan was sick. So if you're wondering where Ethan was on the bench, he was battling a little bit of an ailment. So that was my other random note. Okay.
Same, crud everyone else in the world has right now.
Legitimately. Yeah, exactly. So nothing too concerning. Okay, couple questions. First, and this is to anybody listening, you can chime in too, and of course to Jacqueline. So do you think we have finally left our funk era? We got all these different eras, Taylor's versions, Taylor Swift, little comment here, right? So have we left our funk era? Are we out of our funk? What do you think?
I guess so.
I think we'll know after tomorrow's game.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I'm hesitant to.
Yeah. This might be the premature question. I think, but as I was watching this game, like I especially towards that second half or the end of the second half, I was like, okay, like I feel like we're out of our funk in this second half. Like I wonder if this game we are out of our funk era and moving into our kick everyone's ass era. I don't know.
Fingers crossed.
I think tomorrow we'll know. Tomorrow we'll know. If you're listening and you want to chime in on that question, do you think that the Lumberjacks have left their funk era? They've left all of the, crazy come from behind wins behind. They've figured it out. They've ironed out all the issues. What do you think? Second question, do you think we're ready for conference play? Like fully ready for conference play?
Define we and define ready, and that would make my answer easier.
Okay.
I think I've kind of touched on a lot of these points in other episodes. I think there are so many factors going into that I really do not know. I think we have a great athletic, talented group of guys this season. We finally have a season that's not reeked with injury. We currently only have one player injured. Knock on some wood, everybody. And like I've said before, I would literally put any of those dudes into the game at any point of the game and not be worried. So we have a lot of depth. The the hard part is we have a lot of new guys who are new to the program, to the system, to the plays, to each other. That takes quite a bit of working out. And with a rotation schedule that can sometimes seem erratic, that makes it a little more difficult for those guys to know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. So that does make it difficult. So time will tell.
Yeah. I know I'm hitting us with some deep questions. I think in some aspects, like you said, I think we're ready. I think we have ironed out a few of our lingering issues, but not all of them. So, and I'm not saying that they're humongous issues. It's like so minor that if we just like get it together a little bit in some of these smaller areas, like, my God, just disgusting how good this team can truly be.
Oh.
Like, truly be. So, yeah. Okay.
Agreed.
So I did write down another question, but I'm not sure. I mean, we've been, I think it's just the fact that this team is just a different team. I don't know, but I feel like our free throwing has just been like so erratic as well. Like we'll have really good free throw games and then turn around and have like an abysmal free throw game. So I guess my other question was, man, I hope this is more of a statement. I hope we've been practicing our free throws because you know that these whack teams are not going to, they are going to totally out free throw us if we are not careful.
I agree with that too. Because the last game we had a funny note that Ethan has better 3-point shooting percentage than free throws. And I was like, I think you need to practice your free throws, bud, since you can make threes better than free throws.
Yeah.
And Day-Day had a couple of free throws in this game too that, I mean, just completely like binged right back out. And I'm like, you literally have like the most finesse and touch on that basketball than almost anyone on this team. And you just brick 2 free throws right in a row.
Yeah. I think.
Don't know what happened up there.
Yeah, exactly. So that was just me just trying to think like deep thoughts. Should have a new segment, deep thoughts by Alex.
I like it.
Anywho, okay. So game tomorrow, noon game, which I mean, yay. I guess I don't know. I don't know how I feel about noon games, man.
I don't either, but I think I'm gonna pick myself up a lunch from somewhere and have myself a little lunch date by myself and watch the game.
That sounds like a hella good idea. I have a coffee meeting in the morning at 10. I have to pick up groceries at 11. So maybe I'll do the same after I pick up the groceries or order something and have it dropped off at the house.
I think you should.
Yeah. Since the brewery's closed all week and basically half of next week, like, man, I don't know what to do with my life. I mean, I'm still going out there to do brewery stuff, but closed to the public rather. So we're running. It's gonna look great. Anywho, all right. So let's wrap this pig up. Like we said, tomorrow is the next game. We're playing UT RGV tomorrow afternoon. Obviously at University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, in Edinburgh, which is like 8 hours away. Would love to go down there for a game one time. Just obviously the fact that it's a noon game really kind of pooped out that idea for tomorrow.
Yeah, a noon game for a place that's an 8-hour drive for me is not really feasible.
I know. I was thinking about it today before I looked to see what time it was at because I didn't know what time it was at. I didn't know offhand. And so I was like, ooh, let's go. And I was like, fuck, we'd have to leave tonight. Like, there's no way. Because I'm not leaving at like 4 a.m.
Yeah,
No. Anyway, so one day we'll get down there. But, because, man, could you just imagine the fucking the food? Anyway.
Yeah, we'll die.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, tomorrow at noon, obviously you can watch it on ESPN Plus as per usual. Make sure y'all tune in, cheer on the Jacks via ESPN Plus. And then of course coming up this weekend, the next home game is on Saturday the 6th. It's a 2:00 game, and we are playing back home versus UTA, which they've turned into a real thorn in our sides lately.
Yes, they
So-
have. Yes, they have.
That should be fun. I'm excited for that. And hopefully we'll have Jackson back for that. I asked him if he was coming back, and he said, I should be. I'm in town.
Down, you better be there.
Right. Oh, wait, hold on now. We got a message from Cat fans.
Where have you been, Cat fans?
Not watching our feed, I guess, but here we are. They messaged us on Twitter and said, just dropping in to wish y'all a happy new year. Here's to great mac and cheese, properly doused barbecue meats, and more.
The sauce, baby. I don't care how good the meat's cooked. You gotta have the sauce on there.
I only ate it how it was served. Like, I don't.
If you serve me a dry piece of meat, I'm about to be asking for some sauce. Sorry.
I'm gonna be asking for something. But again, like, I was in Kansas City with Jacqueline, and I ate the food as it was presented to me. You think I'm gonna, totally disrespect some large African American woman behind the fucking counter and be like, no, I don't want this with sauce on it as you presented it to me. Please redo.
Wipe the sauce off.
Get out of here. And more Caleb jokes in 24. That was sweet. Minus the absolute diss by catfans.com. We're still frenemies.
Send me some mac and cheese, and we'll be the judge of if you're going to be a friend or an enemy.
I would love some real good mac and cheese right now. Anyway, let's see. Just making sure we didn't have any other random comments or DMs. No, we're good. Okay, so like I said, game tomorrow at noon, game on Saturday at 2:00 in the Sawmill. If you aren't doing anything on Saturday, there's absolutely no reason why you cannot be in the Sawmill watching the Jacks play. It's pretty simple. Come sit with us if you need to.
It's a 2:00 game. It's an afternoon game. You got all morning to get your to-do list done, have lunch, come to the game, then you got all evening to do whatever you want.
Yeah, like these games aren't long. They're 2 hours, babe. It's a 2-hour break from whatever you got to do.
Less than you would spend at the movies.
Bingo. Exactly. Okay, well, that is today's podcast. We appreciate everybody tuning in and those who watch later. Hola. Hope you've enjoyed talking about UNO. Excited for 2024. We're excited for the rest of the season. Hoping for a great rest of conference play leading up into the WAC tournament. We're going to be here through it all. So, man, we are excited for everything. And as always, hope you have a wonderful night. Hope you stay warm. Hope you don't have a stuffy nose anymore. Jacqueline, poor nose. And you have a great rest of your week. And as always, Axe and Jacks.
With Alex and Jax.